Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder. Like the name implies, it is a phobia. So in this case, the fear isn't just to one specific object, like the phobia of snakes. Agoraphobia is more a general fear of experiencing situations that would be difficult to escape. The main fear behind it is often that we are going to experience panic symptoms in public, and thus someone with agoraphobia is going to try to avoid situations that are difficult to escape or have a really high likelihood of causing embarrassment if we were to have a panic attack in one of those spaces. So the most common types of triggering situations tend to be big open spaces that would be hard to escape, such as concerts, big events, even things like the grocery store, as well as sometimes closed confined spaces where escape is very difficult. So for example, public transportation, driving is a really common time to experience those triggers. And pretty much just any situation where it would be really difficult to get out of there, right? And get out of there quickly, which is what someone with agoraphobia wants to be able to do if they feel panic coming on. Oftentimes, we may not start by having agoraphobia. Usually, we will often start by simply experiencing a lot of anxiety, experiencing panic attacks, and then eventually we start to develop a fear of getting panicked, right? Which makes sense. Panic attacks are very uncomfortable, incredibly unpleasant, and feel terrifying to our body. So eventually we kind of develop this fear of getting panic attacks, right? And so that's when regular panic disorder starts turning into full-blown agoraphobia. Again, usually starting with small changes to our overall behavior, whether that's just avoiding meetings and trying to do more virtual work, to only taking some different transportation routes and trying to avoid maybe having to take the train or bus on by ourselves, to avoiding some entire venues. So maybe not being willing to go to concerts or large events because there's too many people there and it'd be too hard to leave. Eventually, sometimes getting all the way to the point where we are feeling like we can't leave our house, or we might only have one or two safe locations we feel like we can actually be at. So unfortunately, it is a very cyclical disorder, right? The more we actually avoid different situations to try to manage our panic symptoms, the stronger those beliefs and fears actually become, and the more sensitive we actually are to experiencing the panic symptoms in the first place. So even though we may be technically experiencing fewer panic attacks, because we're avoiding so many things, our fear continues to grow and grow, so that when we do face a feared situation, we're way more panicked and nervous than before when we used to do these things every day. Generally, avoidance is one of the biggest, what we call safety behaviors of agoraphobia. So a safety behavior is really just any type of behavior we are using to basically artificially escape our feelings, right? And to not have to sit with the anxiety or sit with those fears. So like I said, avoiding situations or leaving is probably one of the biggest ones for agoraphobia. However, there are also many other different safety behaviors that can, in fact, actually make the disorder worse with time. A really common one would be using safety people. So for example, only going to the grocery store with your mom or with a close friend. Only feeling like I can go to a concert if I have my spouse with me to kind of keep me safe and also be there. Sometimes it's location based, so I need to be within so many miles of my house, otherwise I feel unsafe. Or hospital based, right? I feel like I have to be so close to a hospital just in case they were to have a panic attack and be able to rush over there to receive medical treatment. Sometimes it's also simply something we might carry. So for example, if you've already been prescribed something like a fast-acting anxiety medication like Xanax, or even something that you might use over the counter like Benadryl, feeling like you can carry that in your pocket might make you feel a lot safer to know that if I get panicked, I can take that and immediately escape that feeling. Additionally, things like making sure you always have your cell phone on you and potentially fully charged. Just in case I were to get panicked, I can call my support person to come pick me up right away. So there are all kinds of different safety behaviors. That's really not an extensive list. However, all these behaviors, again, try to function for us to reduce and escape our feelings. Now, in terms of the actual treatment of panic disorder and agoraphobia, usually it is going to be a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy and primarily exposure therapy. So that can sound a little bit scary. Really, what that entails, firstly, we become aware of agoraphobia, we become aware of the way our beliefs shape agoraphobia experiences. So for example, if I have beliefs that every time my heart beats fast, I might be having a heart attack and I'm going to have a panic attack. Sometimes we overestimate how likely we are to have panic attacks, right? So I might believe going to the grocery store is going to be super dangerous for having, or make it super likely for me to have a panic attack, even though in reality, I might have only actually experienced a panic attack at a grocery store once or twice before I felt like I just wanted to stop going. The other thing is oftentimes an overestimation as to the duration of the panic attack and what will actually happen. So more of your feared consequences there. And I know a lot of us, when you're in a panic attack, it feels like I cannot endure this. If this keeps going, something bad is going to happen, or I'm going to die if I experience a panic attack, or be so mortified that, something terrible will happen, right? I can't ever do this again. These types of beliefs obviously contribute to our overall fear of panic attacks. And so working through those to actually develop more realistic, more helpful, empowering beliefs can be a great first step in reducing our added anxiety to panic disorder. So having realistic beliefs like, I may not like these panic symptoms, but I can handle them. If I experience a panic attack, it won't be fun, but I've done it before and I know I'll get through it. If I have a panic attack now, it'll probably last 5 to 10 minutes. And then afterwards, while I might be a little embarrassed, I will go home and I will still be able to come back here and do what I need to do, right? My panic attack won't last forever. I've been through panic attacks before and I've probably dealt with scarier stuff. So just challenging and really replacing those beliefs about our actual panic attacks can really help with overall coping with that anxiety. Basically, we're just not adding on anything extra. However, the main portion of what actually is going to help you recover from panic disorder with agoraphobia is going to be exposure therapy. So what that means is basically we are going to be reintroducing you to feared situations, and you have to learn how to sit with your anxiety, with those panic symptoms, until they naturally fade while engaging in triggering situations. So, for example, if I am really afraid to take the bus because I haven't done it in a long time and I really feel like I'm going to have a panic attack and then I wouldn't be able to get off the bus in time before that started and then everyone would look at me, right? That's my fear. With exposure therapy, we would take small steps to get you closer to that. So that might start by just imagining yourself having to go on the bus. Then it might look like actually walking by the bus stop and observing the bus come and go. Then we might try to go on the bus and ride it for one stop. Maybe I bring a support person if I still feel that need at that moment. Eventually, my goal would be able to ride the bus all the way where I need to go without any help and without any safety behaviors, right? So maybe without my medication, maybe without taking my cell phone, right? Without anyone helping me. So we would slowly but surely take steps to kind of work our way back up into normalcy, right? Whatever you used to be able to do before the agoraphobia really took over. So that's really the main component of treatment and the part that really is going to long-term get rid of your agoraphobia symptoms. So to recap, it's just really challenging those distorted beliefs we have about panic disorder, but the primary form that's going to help you get your life back on track is really going to be exposure therapy. That can absolutely be done with a licensed professional to guide you and help you along the way. However, you can also do it on your own simply by creating a list, right, of small baby steps to get you closer to your goals.